Hello, this is Fern, and today I'd like to share with y'all a little video about dehydrating food. So, in the peak of different types of harvests, I find it a little bit overwhelming sometimes, and definitely overwhelming if you're trying to eat all of the fresh fruit and veg. So, a way that I cope with that is to store the food for later months by dehydrating it. So I've talked a little bit about this wild plum. I call it a wild plum because the plums grow all over the place here in like untended areas, and this one's a little bit tart. So I think it just kind of popped up. It's behind the fence line, so it's not really I don't think it's cultivated. So anyway, I take the knife and I run it on either side of the pit, and I just put those halves on the drying rack and use my food dehydrator. I run it at 140 degrees Fahrenheit for about 24 hours, I believe. And then I just kind of poke them to make sure that they're dry and they don't have any like squishy bits left. So that's what I do for the plums. I'm hoping to use them in kind of breads. That's my plan. They're a little bit sour, even when dried. They have a ton of sugar in them, but they're like sticky with that sweetness, but they're also a little bit sour. So they will probably be going into some breads. And for my tomatoes, I've been trying to use tomatoes a lot because I have a ton of these cherry tomatoes. So I've been making little pasta sauces like for dinner, like the day of, and I've been making lots of salsa, which I'm not a huge fan of salsa, but Matt loves it, so I just make salsa for Matt and hope that he eats it. It's a little bit too much pressure for one person to eat the salsa, but that's how it is. But I love dried tomatoes. I feel like there was like a big fad of like sun-dried tomatoes, or like, oh, it has a sun-dried tomato puree or whatever. I use a food dehydrator. It's really simple. I think this takes about 12 hours at like 135 Fahrenheit. That's, I believe, what I've been doing. And yeah, you just cut them in half, put them on a tray. You can fill up a lot of trays with your tomatoes, and then you can use those for soups, just to snack on. They're super tasty and super useful. The mint that I dehydrate all the time, just continually whenever I need to trim back the mint, I'll take the whole cutting that I've cut off of the plant and I'll lay it on a rack and I'll let it dry, air dry. I don't do any heating and just let it dry over time. And then once it's super crispy, I'll take off the leaves and I'll put it in a jar and crush it all up. And here I also added some lavender flower heads. I also just let those air dry over time, and crush those all up with the end of a wooden spoon. Whenever I do like this kind of thing, I just feel like a witch, and it's invigorating. I don't know, there's something like so pleasant about like grinding herbs that like makes me feel very in tune with like life. I don't know, there's something weird about it. So I made a funny mistake. I thought I was growing cumin in the front yard. I don't know what happened to my cumin seedlings, if they never came up or what, but I thought this was cumin. It's not. It's it's lemon mint. Or no, not lemon mint. It's lemon basil. And I realized when I saw the flowers come up, I was like, wait, these are basil flowers. So I quickly, like, pinched off all of those flower heads that were coming up so I could extend the life of my basil. And then I did a huge harvest of basil. And so I just let that air dry, like I do with the other herbs, until it's totally crisp, and then stored that. My neighbor has some peach trees. He gave us like 12 peaches or something the other day, and it's too much. Unless I was going to make a cobbler, which probably would have been a great way to deal with this. I wouldn't be able to get through them all. And they're also because they're homegrown, they're kind of like buggy, So I always like cutting up fruit that might be a little bit buggy, so I don't bite into a worm. But I just cut these up and put them on my dehydrator, just like this. And these are delicious. Dehydrated peaches are so delicious. Same with apricots. I did apricots earlier in the year when the apricots were ready, and oh my god, I'm like tearing through my dehydrated apricots because they're so good. The peaches don't take very long. They take maybe like 12 hours. And I did them at, I think, 140. I did a tray of the peaches and a tray of the plums over the same night. Here's the basil after it has dried. It smells delicious. I don't really know what to use it for. And then here are my peaches, not very, very, very much. And then my tomatoes. This is kind of a lot. And then I have an absolute ton of plums. I have a whole nother bag of those. So that's it for today's video. I hope you enjoyed it. Thanks for watching.